Hey guys, Ruben here, and you're now watching The Real Grill. Today we're reviewing a film we've all been anticipating since its predecessor graced the cinema screen some 13 years ago. Of course, I'm talking about the long awaited Avatar The Way of Water. So the film's a sequel to the 2009 movie, I'm sure you've all seen it, directed by James Cameron, and it basically continues the story of Jake Sully as he journeys to a new part of Pandora in hopes of protecting his family from the newly revived Colonel Quaritch, who met his demise at the end of the last movie. And the big part of the film obviously focuses around them learning about the ways of water from the Water Tribe. We really enjoyed talking about the characters, visuals, and just everything the movie had to offer, so I hope you do too. And yeah, it's a must see. So if you haven't seen it, please do watch it. And now I give you our review of the Avatar: The Way of Water.
All right, so Avatar: The Way of Water. Somebody said this is basically stealing from the last Avatar, the last Airbender. Sorry, they're stealing titles from the last Airbender.
So yes, it does look like it, bro. Yeah. I'm just saying, like The Way of Water. If the next one's The Way of the Earth, or and then The Way of Fire, some volcano people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like this is.
I think that's actually a thing that next one's going to be about ash people, and then
no way.
It's happening, man.
I think I don't know if it's true, but I read somewhere that Avatar, the Last Bender, or Airbender, was originally just called Avatar, but the Avatar movie ended up getting the patents rights to reserve the name, the trademark name and stuff, so they had to rename it Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it wouldn't be surprised to me if they just kept doing that over and over again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't think that was actually real. I thought that was just a meme. I didn't think.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Just for the film, anyway. That's why they just call it The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Avatar's not even in the film name, but no one cares about the film anyway. But yeah, back to the point.
Exactly.
So Avatar 2, Way of Water. Thoughts, initial thoughts.
Cool. So yeah, basically this is like a time jump, isn't it, from the first movie? So we follow basically Jake Sully's family, including Neytiri, as well as he has 3 kids now. So he has 2, I believe he has, no, is it 3?
2 sons. He's got 2 sons, 1 daughter.
And 3 biological kids.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's got 3 biological kids, one adopted, and then 1 human kid who just sort of follows them
hangs
around.
Hangs about.
Yeah, he's just there. Like, I don't know if he's
sticks to them like a spider.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Exactly that. So basically we rejoin them in their natural habitat, obviously Pandora, as established in the first movie, which everybody pretty much knows the story. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know the story because it's just a regurgitated version of, I don't know, Pocahontas, Fern Gully, Dances with Wolves,
Atlantis.
Actually Atlantis, that's true.
Last Samurai, baby.
Last time, yeah. So basically, it's not an original story. But the question is, with this story, obviously carrying on from where the other one ended, is this like an original story, or is it another kind of rinse and repeated? But anyway, to get into the minutiae of the story, so there's a revelation which you could call it. Would you call it when they change something in the past within like a canon?
Retcon.
Retcon, exactly. Yeah. So basically, what's his name again? Is it Colonel Quaritch or Quaritch?
Quaritch.
So we find out that obviously in the first movie, spoilers, that he was killed, he was eliminated. However, that didn't mean he was actually dead indefinitely. Prior to him actually being killed off, they were able to transfer his conscious, or a version of his conscious, into one of the Na'vi. The Na'vis.
I think they just cloned him, didn't they? Didn't they just straight up clone him?
Basically.
I mean, you could say
he our body, but they transported his memories via file.
They took a backup.
Wasn't it that they got a backup of his memories? Didn't they grow?
Yeah.
They basically grew an actual kind of clone of him in human form.
Yeah.
And
that
then
is true.
Especially how they make avatars for like Jake Sully and that.
Yeah,
they
that is true.
Him.
Yeah.
I mean, the only difference is obviously he has no body to go back into, so he is permanently a Na'vi, I guess.
Yeah.
So basically, so the main sort of story is that his mission and his motivation in general is basically to eliminate Jake Sully, who he sees as a traitor He sees how like basically he turned his back on his team, his race, and his whole goal is basically just take him out. He's very like manipulative, very intelligent, but there is a spanner in the works in the shape of his, this guy Spider, who just and this is the bit where it kind of gets into like a bit of contrived storytelling, where the expression. I don't know if you guys want to take it from here, because like
they invented a son for him to have, so they could humanize him a bit. So they thought, actually, my man knocked up some random woman at some point. Never mentioned it in the last movie. Never mentioned that he had a son.
Still don't even know who the mother is, by the way.
Nah.
Yeah, the mother obviously left the baby, or she's dead. We don't know. She either left the baby on the planet because the baby couldn't go.
So we find out he had a son who goes by the name Spider, and Spider is basically the human boy who is hanging about Jake Sully's family. At the beginning of the movie, he grows up with them before he ends up obviously meeting his father's clone and gets adopted by his father's clone for the duration of the film. But that was kind of just something they threw in there, which obviously from the original movie there's no indication of any of that at all.
There's no indication that he was even remotely like had a child or cared about children or like cared about his son. Like it was quite contrived.
I think I mean I would say that even though they kind of made this guy out of thin air, literally, I do think it would have been a good way to humanize the Colonel's character. But even in the fact that he did have that fun kind of character there, they didn't really utilize that bond. They didn't explore it enough. I think it was actually a waste of time, because they didn't really touch on that bond or relationship between them as much as they should have throughout the film. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but I thought it was a waste of time.
Yeah, pretty much. So like, what I'd say about the story of this film is that they had a lot of interesting ideas in there, but as you said, they never established on like mostly any of them. But I think they're setting it up for Avatar 3, because they've got Avatar 3, 4, 5, 6, and even 7 planned now. So I think they're probably putting bits and pieces in at the moment to kind of...
Did you say 6 and 7?
Yeah, so
only up to 5.
I didn't know about 6 and 7.
Right. And James Cameron said that he's got plans for 6 and 7. Like he's writing.
I don't know if they're Fast and Furious.
Are we going to be live? Are we going to be live to review these? Is this going to be in our lifetime, bro? Like,
this is
do we need to hand it down to the kids?
Oh, my days,
your kids are going to be like adults by the time we watch number 7, man.
That's a ridiculous level of planning into any one franchise, because like I think he's literally said he doesn't want to work on anything else the rest of his career. Like Avatar is his life now. That's his life until he dies, and then someone else takes over.
To be fair, that's his passions, right? I mean, if he wants to create, this is like his baby, really. So if he wants to keep nurturing it and making more crazy stories and loving the technology behind it, then I mean, good for him, man. Good for him. I'm enjoying it so far anyway.
Picking up from where you were saying, Subi, I do see this movie as basically them like setting up the chess pieces. For obviously things are going to happen down the road, and I feel like that's what kind of got me excited about the movie. In terms of, again, these relationships, these bonds. So not just with obviously his son, because we know I know you did say, Ruben, that it felt like very shallow, the whole kind of relationship they had.
I think. Sorry, just say I think Spider, his son, was probably the only character for me that was not fleshed out as a character. I feel like all the other characters were fleshed out enough.
Yeah.
His son was not fleshed out enough for the story.
Well, here's the thing though. It's like, to be honest, like you saying he's not fleshed out, I thought his character made no sense. Like his character felt more like a tool than an actual person, because his decisions in the movie just don't make any sense. Like, he's with these guys, and then all of a sudden he wants to help. He wants to aid his kidnappers, and he just like he tells him, "I'm your dad," and he just believes him. He doesn't question it. He's just like, "Oh, you're my dad. You don't even look like me." So, but anyway, you could tell they're basically this is a taste of things to come. So obviously they're gonna build on this, or hopefully they'll build on the relationship and flesh him out as the films go on. So we'll just have to see about that.
Yeah. So I think the driving force of the movie, because I think there's different aspects from this. There's different things you can judge it on. You can judge it on the storytelling, the effects, or the characters. That's the kind of 3 points I kind of judged it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The storytelling and effects were all right to make it a film to watch. I didn't have any qualms with them, but I thought the characters were the main selling point. The characters really done the job for me. I felt like each character, aside from Spider, was very well fleshed out. They each had their role to play, and I felt that they really pushed the themes of the film. And I think one of the biggest themes of the film for me was about being an outcast, fitting in, finding your place. And I felt like all the characters had the touch of that theme instilled in their character. Even Spider being obviously the human boy living amongst the Na'vi, the blue people, whatever they're called. That was again fulfilling the role within that theme, which it surprised me they didn't flesh that out enough, because he was a prime character to do that. He's a human boy living with another species. It should have been about him finding his place, and obviously, you know.
Ruben, so what you're saying is it's all about family.
Exactly what you're saying. Family.
I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree with it. Like, again, you could, say what you want about the characters. Some people say that they're very shallow, but I actually like where they're going with in terms of like the character building, especially with the main man, Jake Sully, because in the first movie, like Sam Worthington, that's the actor that plays Jake Sully. I just thought he was a plank of wood in that movie. Like, he just felt so.
In the first one, sorry.
In the first one, yeah. I actually kind of one of the reasons why I didn't like the film is because of him, because I just felt like he was just so bland. I was like, why did they make this guy the main character of this movie? He's meant to be driving the movie, but he just lacks personality. He lacks that charm of like a leading man. But in this movie, I thought he like really stepped up. Like, as obviously he's like a dad now. He's got like a parental figure. He's a protector of his family. And you really feel that he has grown and matured since the last film. If you watch those back to back, I don't know if any of you guys did that. But that's the only thing. Like, in terms of character development, I don't think many other characters have developed. I mean, his wife Natiri, she's pretty much the same. The same.
The movie was about his kids, really, wasn't it? So I think his kids did have quite a bit of development. Obviously, you had obviously the oldest kids. Well, some of his kids, yeah. So you had the oldest son. What was his name? Sorry, the oldest son.
Exactly, who wasn't developed.
Exactly. He's the older brother. That's his name.
They did not develop it. He was just responsible for the main character, the main child.
Yeah, exactly.
He was basically the big brother character, which you see in a lot of Disney films. Who like in a lot of Disney films ends up kicking the bucket as well. But yeah, that was kind of his role. And then you had the youngest son, who was obviously, in his older brother's shadow, living in his father's shadow. I felt like he was kind of almost the star of the movie.
He was the main character.
Yeah, he was meant to be. He was kind of the main character. It wasn't explicitly stated, but he's kind of the one you follow a lot on screen, who has the most character development, and obviously the one who probably you can feel like you can relate to through different parts of the movie and see his growth. So I thought his character was really strong, really well done. I thought it was fantastic. The little sister. I thought that was just eye candy for other people in the screening. Every time the little sister, it was a little girl, isn't it? Their younger sister. Every time she came on screen, all I heard was, "Oh, so cute." That's basically.
Well, she was just there. She was just there to be captured and rescued.
She was just there to be cute, bro. Do you know what I mean?
She was there to be cute, but like
to be cute and to be a liability.
That's it.
Exactly, a liability.
The amount of times they put her in like dangerous situations. What kind of older brother and sister are you guys?
Even the film was like self-aware of like how often they were using this trope of her getting handcuffed. They were like, she was like, again. I was like, yeah, exactly, again. Like, how many times are you gonna get captured?
What did you think was gonna happen if you went back on the fucking boat?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was like, really?
I guess she does take after her older, younger, middle brother, because he was doing the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was very he's like very reckless, angsty, like just your typical like movie teen.
Exactly.
So one thing we haven't mentioned is this movie is set about 14-15 years after the first one. So the oldest child is probably 14, was saying they started straight after the movie.
Yeah, and we don't know how they age as well.
Yeah,
it's almost set in real time.
Yeah, it kind of feels like.
That's true. Oh yeah. I
assume that's what they were going for, because obviously the only one you can really judge it by is Spider, because he looked about minimum 30.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the shit, he looked about 12, 13, and he's obviously human. So that's probably how the time difference was about 14 years or something.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I'd probably agree with that as well. One other character I wanted to touch on, which is like, you can tell is going to be a big character in the next films, because again, she kind of was a protagonist, and it was I can't remember her name, but basically
Magic Cloud Lady, yeah.
No, yeah. Well, Sigourney Weaver's character, aka female alien Jesus.
Carrie, that's it.
Carrie. The one, basically. She's Miracle Baby. She's got the powers. She's the one.
Yeah, she's the one. She is
Neo.
Neo.
Do some,
she is basically Neo. She's like the like controlling everything. But I don't know. I just found that it was a bit cheesy. But I just found it like really interesting, the direction they're gonna go take this. I don't know, like. Yeah,
I think we'll take it somewhere good, because it's getting kind of weird.
I just hope she's not going to constantly be a Deus Ex Machina type character, where basically when they're like backs against the wall, it's just like, you know, that super easy, barely an inconvenience, where she's basically just able to click her fingers and just everything's just cool again. Kind of like what this movie did, but
I was gonna say, it didn't happen in this film.
It's gonna happen in every film, and she's gonna get more and more powerful as well. She's gonna be like moving. Honestly, she's gonna become the Avatar.
Yeah, I think so.
This is what is gonna happen. She's gonna be controlling all the elements.
Yeah, she was waterbending, bro. She was waterbending.
She's the Avatar.
Talk. It's so true.
It's gonna play a full circle, bro. Honestly, I will know the idea, bro. She's gonna go into Avatar state. Her eyes are gonna glow. She's gonna do a madness.
She went into Avatar state. Did you see her eyes roll back this film? One thing I will say about what I like about what they've done as a character, again, they kept her character within the realms of the theme of outcast, which they were trying to push through, because she was kind of an outcast, not having a real father, being kind of, obviously she was outcast as well, because she's like a mutation as well. She had 4 fingers and 4 fingers, 1
all
palm.
Of them did.
Yeah, all of the kids did. All of the kids did. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So I mean, she's an outcast in more respects than the other kids. And she gets called in it as well. They call her a freak and stuff. So I thought her character really drove that point. But I like that they didn't make that kind of weird bond she had with the planet the main point of this movie. They kind of made it like a sprinkled breadcrumb, which you can see is going to be picked up in the next film, which I thought that was pretty cool. Because it gives you something to look forward to. And they didn't explain it either, which I thought was cool. They kept the mystery kind of it.
I mean, I'm happy they did that, because I, in all honesty, didn't really care that much about all that stuff with the weird Neo Chosen One stuff. But it was definitely an interesting way to kind of build their character, I guess. But I'm really, really hoping they got plans, because 13 years in the making, I'm sure they've done all the story writing they need to do for the next 2-3 films, I think. So hopefully big plans in the works.
I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. This movie is 3 hours and 12 minutes long. It has no right to be that long. That was ridiculous. To me, I don't care about the effects. And to be fair, if your story needs 3 hours and 12 minutes, it's not a good story, because a lot of this time was a waste of time. Like there was no need. The middle section you could cut out an hour and a half of this movie. It's not necessary. If we weren't in 4D, I would have fallen asleep. Because we were checking our watch.
So do you don't like 3-hour movies in general, don't you?
You have to do a good job. I don't like padding. I don't like movies that are 3 hours for no reason. This movie did not need to be 3 hours.
But here's the thing,
everything makes sense. This did not earn 3 hours. Maybe if they built something up, it did not earn 3 hours. No, it didn't. It didn't anywhere near that.
I think I think the 3 hours wasn't an issue for me, because for me a lot of it was spent on the character building and showing the relationships, I think it was spent on the character building and showing the relationships between the characters, the little subtleties. And if you take that out of the film, you end up caring about the characters less, which I think is the point. Like this movie had people crying in the screening, and I think if they took out all of those little scenes and character building moments between the characters, you wouldn't have got the emotional effect which I think the writers were going for.
There was about 40 minutes in this movie.
You guys don't even remember the names of the characters. I don't think I got attached to these characters at all, to be honest.
To be fair, I remember Matayam and Locke, I think. They got weird names, man.
Yeah,
they got weird names.
No, real talk, there were about 40 minutes in this movie just watching them swim.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Hey, I'm okay with that. So, like, if I can build upon Ruben's thing about characters and stuff, I also love the fact that, so obviously people have different things that they really appreciate in life and stuff. So obviously I can understand you guys not liking that, and that's completely fair. But what I loved about the whole middle section, even though it can be boring for people, is that I love the world building and the fact that you're exploring this new part of Pandora and like introducing all these different animals and species and the way they interact and connect with the weird thing, all this kind of stuff. So I really love the creativity behind creating a whole new part of Pandora. The people as well, like the way they're like amphibious, like the way they've designed their tails and the stuff on their hands, all this kind of stuff. I just love all that stuff. So I do appreciate that they spend a lot of time to show us that, and especially in an IMAX 3D experience. To experience that in proper 3D on an IMAX screen was bloody breathtaking, man. Yeah. So I can understand where you're coming from, but for me personally, it's something I really love.
Yeah. Just quickly, just quickly, to go with what Subi said, because I was literally just about to say the same thing you said, Subi, because you have to remember, like, this film isn't just a film to, like, obviously this, like, the story is decent, but let's be honest, like, just like the first movie, we're all here for the experience, you know, we're all here to kind of take in the visuals, because obviously this is, like, you know, cutting edge in terms of, like, technology and, you know, the CG. So, you know, it is pandering to, you know, people who have come to see that on screen, and that, you know, you do get what you came to see. Obviously, the only downside, the only kind of a drawback of that is, yes, there's a lot of, like, pointless scenes where they're basically just, again, just indulging in these shots, which just take time, especially the subplot with the whale. Like, I was like, yeah, this is like, just good to go back to what you were saying, Law. If I didn't see this in 4D or 3D, sorry, I would have been pretty bored as well, because you're just watching the whale. But it's beautifully shot, and the 3D effects are just so realistic and so kind of immersive that I actually felt like I was scuba diving, and I was kind of in that moment. But at the same time, I was like, the movie's kind of coming to a standstill. It kind of reminded me of, like, Fantastic Beasts, where J.K. Rowling, she just stops the movie to tell you about the world. And in its defense, it does it's basically setting up things that come up later in it, but within this subplot. But at the same time, the main story I was always thinking, oh, when are we gonna go back to the main story? I'm enjoying this, but I want to kind of see what's going on with the rest of the characters, not just these two here.
So you can kind of call it like filler parts of the story in between. Yeah. But what I liked about it, because I'm not a typical kind of, like, ridiculously long movies either. I hate when movies dip in the middle and you kind of black out and then you wake up, like, towards the end, and it's like you've missed the whole middle arc. But I do feel like this movie. Oh yeah, fine. I do feel like this movie in particular, I felt like it did kind of dip in the middle, but it had spikes in between. It wasn't just flat in the middle. It had little sections where it spiked here and there and went up and down, and then obviously towards the end, it had its main grand spike. So I do feel like the middle kept me and a lot of viewers in my screening occupied. It didn't make anyone feel like they had to fall asleep. It picked up when it needed to, and it slowed down pace when it needed to. It had a good balance of that, which I think a lot of movies struggle with. A lot of movies that are 3 hours long tend to just dip in the middle, and then you just fall asleep and wake up at the end.
Yeah, no, that's true. Very true.
I remember checking my watch numerous times, and it was like, we ain't even hit 2 hours yet. How are we still going?
I didn't check my watch once. Did anyone tear up in this movie? Did anyone get teary at all?
No.
I was very close near the end, obviously, when the time, you know.
Yeah.
Because what I loved about that scene was that, because throughout that whole film, he's like the you know, the son, the eldest son, the warrior and stuff. And for his last moments, he reverted back to a kid, and his last words were, "I want to go home," which that just hit me so freaking hard. And obviously, when Neytiri reacted the way she did, Zoe Saldana's acting in that moment just got me like proper.
No, she's a great actor, but I think the reason why I didn't really feel some type of way is because a lot of the end scene, I'm just thinking, where did the rest of the Waterman go?
In the end scene? Oh, you mean the final battle?
What, with like the whole ship siege, you mean?
Yeah, it's like, you saw them all roll up, you're like, yeah, hold up, someone's gonna go first, then they all charge, and that's the last you see of the Waterman then. Yeah, you see the daughter. You see the door a couple scenes, and then that is it. They all bounce. They're like, yeah, we're out.
I think that's the difference between you and me, Cam. Is like I'm always like in the moment. I don't think about anything else. But you're always thinking about all the other stuff going on, all this kind of stuff. I was just proper in the moment and just in that.
I think the only thing that took me, I thought that was a very sweet scene. I didn't tear up. But I think the only thing which didn't get me fully immersed in that moment again is that all the characters were fleshed out quite well. I felt like the oldest brother's character was fleshed out well. I just don't think they fleshed it out enough. His character was dependent on his relationship with his brother and his dad, but you don't really see his character isolated as the oldest brother on his own. I think that's why when he died, I wasn't hit as hard.
Early on, sorry, early on, I could see where his arc was going. He was just like, your young brother, every time he's next to her, he's been told, don't move. Stay your ass here, don't move. And every time he's left, and his brother has come to save his ass and got him. So it's like, you are going to get your brother killed from the beginning. It's like, we're going to get to a part of this movie where your brother is gonna dead and it's gonna be your fault.
Yeah. That I think what actually hit hard for me, more so than the brother's death, was the father's disappointment in the youngest son. Yeah. That actually hit me. And the fact that when the youngest son, I'm not even saying his name. And what's his name again? I'll try and remember for the.
Is it Locke or something like that? Locke or something.
Oh, you got ripped actually characters, didn't you? I can't remember his name.
Let's just say it's because
they're just really weird names, okay?
They're not normal names like James. Lark is his name. When Lark goes to save Jake, his father, and his father sees him and he calls him Netarim, he calls him the oldest brother's name. So little things like that, it goes back to the themes of the movie. The fact they always say like, oh, I see you. What does it mean to see someone? And the big film was that the father never really saw. I don't mind why I'm doing this, but never really saw the youngest son.
Yeah, that's just a sign for it.
Yeah. He never really saw the youngest son until the end of the film. So I thought that for me, pulling things together was a lot more powerful than the older brother's death. That really kind of hit me. The journey it took for the dad to really see his son. That was very powerful theme of the story.
Because up until that point, he had fucked up every single time. I mean, it was the first good thing that he did. So it's not a surprise. Literally saved his life.
But he was like, I don't know. You could say he was just being a bit like he was attention seeking. He was and that's the thing that you see with they tend to paint younger siblings that they attention seek to get the father's approval to live up to the father's expectations.
Yeah, he was like the rebel. He's like the rebel,
and that was his thing.
Yeah, he's like the rebel of the family. So he basically just goes against what their moral, their code is.
Law, I'm guessing you didn't cry in the movie. I was asking if anyone teared up the film. I'm guessing you didn't. You have a heart, bruv.
He probably cried for it to end.
I mean, at what point? Like, I'm just trying to think. Like when the brother died or something.
I had people in my screening who were crying at multiple points throughout the film.
Really?
Yes. I mean, Sabrine teared up throughout the movie. There were other people I saw beside me who were like, sniffling and stuff throughout the film. I think the film was very highly emotional. For me, I don't think it was enough to get me tearing up and crying, but I do feel like it was a bombardment of emotionally strong and powerful scenes.
I'll tell you one bit that did get me. I mean, I'm not like super, but I'm quite like an empathetic. What's the word? Empathetic person. Okay, say properly. But so the bit where where the whale gets, they're chasing the well and stuff, and then the little baby as well is under him, and then they basically kill that well and stuff. That got me quite a bit, because I know the fact that actually happens in real life and stuff, and obviously that's one of James Cameron's goals. Like with the first film, he was talking about deforestation and all this kind of stuff. He's like a big environmental awareness kind of person who likes to put these topics on the screen for people to know more about. So they did the same with this, with the oceans and stuff. So it was his goal, and I think he definitely nailed that part of it. So everything with the animals and stuff, when the old big one died, and then you can see the eyes rolling up and stuff, that kind of got me a bit. I never teared that pop up, but I felt it.
And when they introduced that plot MacGuffin of the anti-aging gel, million apparently, which just comes out of nowhere. Because wasn't the first movie about unobtainium? No one mentioned that.
Aside from the fact that Spider's character wasn't fleshed out, that was my other problem with the film. They came back to the planet, as far as I can see, to kill Jake Sully. Bro, Jake Sully ran away and left. Why are you just mine the material now, bro? Why are you spending
the main character? It's because they know that he's the main character.
Chasing my man across the planet when you could just go and mine for what you wanted. He's gone great. Let's go.
I was about to touch on this. So before I talk about the plot holes. So the first movie, they're all about this unobtainium. The beginning of this movie, they establish that the reason why they can't get to this tree is because Jake Sully is recruiting the man them and attacking the shipments. So their plan is, we got to kill off Jake so we can disrupt them and get what we need.
Makes sense.
So this is when the plot hole happens. My man picks up his family and leaves.
Yeah.
So the one man who is attacking your shipments, he's got everything organized, has now gone.
Yeah.
Why are you following the man? Just kill them off and take what you need.
It's because the colonel
just follow Jake across the ocean.
It's because the colonel took it personal that he killed him, that he betrayed him.
Yeah, but he's obviously.
Yeah, but it's his ego.
Why would they fund it? He had to say, you want revenge, you go. All of this is us staying here. Because they've got a job to do. Because they say the reason that they're colonizing it is because the earth is dying, which is literally life and death. If the earth is dying and you need to live on this planet now, who cares about your revenge story? He killed you. Boo-hoo. I don't even know why they revived the motherfucker, to be honest with you. Seems like a waste of resources. Just bring more, man. What are we doing? We already know he failed. Why are we bringing this man that failed in the last movie back to get the man that already killed him? What are we doing?
Because it's like
very expensive tech that we're wasting on the man that failed.
It's like you gotta think of it. It's like, do you remember Demolition Man, where they can only get the guy who has an extreme hatred for the other guy. They're from the same clan, innit? So
you say that, but like nobody can confirm who killed him. They're all going off saying, Jake has betrayed us, so he must be the one. No one has got proof who killed him. He died in his mech suit by arrow, which they didn't know until they found his body.
Yeah,
but they knew it was Neytiri who.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
No, because they looked at his memories, because he had.
His memories are before he died.
They found out.
But you know what? He says.
At the beginning, he saw Neytiri's arrows, and towards the end, he recognized the arrow feathers on the back of her arrow. That's
I think Pierre's talking about when he checked the dash cam.
Oh, he checked the dash cam. And saw. And he never knew who killed him.
Yeah, because I remember he says to Neytiri, I owe you a death. So I was like, he obviously, Subi corrected it. So he said, he saw the dash cam footage. But I knew from that, I remember him saying that. So I knew that he was aware of who killed him, and I think that kind of spurred him on to continue pursuing their family.
He is not writing things. You got boss lady here.
He's the general. Regardless of who's in charge, his team are loyal to him. Like they're not loyal to
his character. I didn't have too much of an issue with. Like once you put him there, on one hand he's doing his duty as the colonel, his mission, and on the other hand he is taking it a slightly bit personal, more personal than the character wants to lead you to believe. So I think his character wasn't too much of the issue. I think, I agree with what Cameron's saying. The fact that he's run off for his revenge and doing his mission, fine. That's your side story. The rest of the crew and Mandem are here to colonize the planet, bro. And I guess it's another thing for the next film. The next film will pick up on what's happening back home with the planet colonization. Obviously,
and
it's something
also,
for the next movie to.
Sorry to cut you off, Ruben. Also, going back to the plot point of, this is contrived, but we can see now why it's so contrived, because his son is again another tool for motivating him to continue pursuing Jake Sully.
Yeah.
Then you can even see that he has like a bond with his son, where kind of he tries to stop them from killing him. I think Jake Sully, he's the one, he like threatens to kill him, and he's like no. Even though he pretends to like.
No, it was the theory.
It was in the theory. Yeah. Sorry.
When she puts a knife,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's how you know she don't give a shit.
That was crazy. That was like, Spider, why are you going back to these people? Like, she was about to end your life, bro. And that is crazy. Like, she didn't care. Like, you grown up with this woman. Like, you see, she gave no fucks. Yeah. She was just like, boy, and the thing is, the problem is, she doesn't even know if the guy cares about the boy. She doesn't know that. How?
She's that's the thing is, at that point, remember, she just lost her son. That's all she has. A son for a son. Simplistic. Like this maternal rage or vengeance, a son for a son. It's the only thing she could take from him at that point, besides his life.
Yeah, I think she was just filled with vengeance.
Well, she was taking a risk as well.
Yeah,
she didn't know what was going to happen. She had to take the risk.
But I don't think she was bluffing, bro. Because you know the scene before.
No, but she wasn't bluffing. I know she wasn't bluffing, but it didn't make any. She is extremely lucky that he actually cared, because he shouldn't have cared. Really?
Again, it's all she can do.
He doesn't know this boy. This boy is a tool to get him to Jake Sully.
But
it was her only option. There was nothing else she could do at that moment.
You need to remember the colonel had was it the daughter the colonel had? Or the daughter?
Yeah, I know. I'm saying it shouldn't have worked. The guy should not have cared. I'm saying this was contrived. It shouldn't have worked.
This is my problem with Spider's character. When I say his character wasn't fleshed out, that's another aspect of it. They wanted to make it look like, obviously, them journeying together built that kind of father-son bond, but they didn't have besides a few scenes, they had not nearly enough screen time for you to take that away, which even made it an issue for me when Spider decided to save him at the end. That was an issue for me as well. I was like, when did you start caring for him? Sorry, did I miss something? When did you start caring for him? I know maybe you could just say, oh, well, you know, he me, so I'll save him. But when did you start caring for him?
Yeah, to me, that one made more sense to me. Because actually meant you just saved my life. Fair enough, I'll save you because you just saved me. But the fact that he cared enough to actually stop her was just dumb. I was like,
I don't think any of it made sense.
Why though? Because he essentially he is kind of his son. I mean, even throw the clone stuff out of the way, it is still his son. You know, his memories are still there of his baby.
The memories came from before he went to the planet.
No,
he knew. It was during because
he didn't know that he didn't know who killed him. Like, it was literally they took a copy of
his on the planet because he already knew Jake Sully and everything.
Yeah.
He already knew Jake.
He knew of Jake Sully, but he didn't. That was the other plot where it's like, how would he know that Jake Sully was the one responsible for his death?
Lawrence.
He would have no idea.
I think they did it on the planet. Literally like a few days before he died. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to watch it again.
Are you disputing? Sorry, are you disputing if he knew his son or not?
Huh?
Are you disputing
whether he knew his son? This is a random boy that he's known for tops a week.
No. Well, he knew. Obviously, like the more teenage version of his son, he doesn't know. He knows he has a son, right? He obviously he had a son, and he says something like, "Oh, I thought you would have got sent back with the rest." And the son said, Spider says, "Well, they don't send." I think he said something like they don't send infants back in pods, or some shit like that. So he obviously knew he had a son. He has some kind of pre-bond feelings of his son. My only issue is they didn't show that enough on screen to show you that building up. I would have, because what I would expect is at the end of that film, where I think they should have went, is they should have made it very. They should have given Spider a real conflict of, should I go with the Colonel or should I go back to my family? They tried to kill me. He has kidnap me, but he's kind of taking care of me. We've built a relationship. But they didn't really explore that throughout the film, which was my issue with the whole thing about him saving the colonel at the end.
I think we can establish no one's taking care of Spider. Like, they only care about him when he's useful.
Yeah.
Like when he's useful, they're like, they'll fuck with him. As soon as he ain't useful anymore, bro, they don't give a fuck.
The only one that cared about Spider was Kiri.
That's it.
I just they just didn't really give him a clear reason to side with these his captors, because he developed Stockholm syndrome in an instant. Like they literally went from trying to brainwash him to like, okay, I'll help you guys. Like, fair enough. He said, I'm gonna take you back to your people. But you don't know. He could be lying to you, and he just takes him. Maybe you could put it down to he's young, he's naive. I don't know.
Just yeah.
I
think also, to be fair, if it wasn't for them, he's never finding them.
Yeah.
Like, so I think he wanted to get back to Kiri, basically, and he was their only option to do that. Because obviously they flew to the sea people. He can't fly. He has no idea where they went. So his best option was to obviously it's still stupid, and like obviously you're just gonna get everyone killed, because obviously you know that they're the bad guys, so you're leading the bad guys to them so that you can be them as well. But you can chalk that up to being a stupid kid. I'm happy with that plot point, but there's the fact that he cared about his kid. I ain't buying it.
I still don't get why you don't know that.
He didn't.
He was a dickhead, but he cared about his soldiers and stuff. So it's not like far-fetched to think he cares about his soldiers.
He's fought with his soldiers for years and years. Like these are people that.
This is flesh and blood, man. Flesh and blood. This is flesh and blood. Like
one thing I will say,
it doesn't need. I don't think it needs exposition or anything like that, because human psychology just works in different ways.
I think again, the movie was 3 hours long. I think if there were a few more scenes showing how they built that relationship, maybe you would have had less of an issue. I just think from what they had on screen,
I would have.
You can't. From what they had on screen, there was nothing to suggest that these two people started to care about each other to that degree. I think that's the problem. Yeah. But unless you want a 4-hour movie.
I think a lot of things you can take out of this movie.
There was one scene which I thought was pretty potent. There's a bit where you see him pick up the dead version of his skull, and it kind of felt Shakespearean, like the way he kind of crushes it. I thought that's nice symbology. That's very symbolic, because it's like he's literally destroying his old self, and he's becoming a new person. I feel like that is in more than one way, because he even says, I'm not the old colonel or whatever his name is. And I think he's actually trying to be different. He doesn't want to be the exact same person. He wants to kind of learn from his mistakes, and obviously he sees in this child Spider, a chance at redemption, or I don't know, it's like some kind of like some kind of turning point in his life, I guess. So that's kind of the way I saw it. Yeah, like a fresh start.
After my revenge mission.
After my revenge, I get it. Well, for all we knew, they could have implanted some kind of like thing in his head where he had to kill. It's the same director as Terminator. Remember that? So maybe he was like.
I mean, fundamentally, the point is that the entire plot of them hating Jason Sully just didn't make sense in terms of
it was very contrived.
But for the rest of them, I mean, the amount of resources they wasted on something that they didn't need to is insane. Like, obviously, didn't he say that them fish gel things is worth 80 million a piece? Every whale is like 8. And you're wasting you're wasting their time going after Jake Sully. It's a bit weird. No, I agree. So it's life and death. Like, you're saying that the Earth is dying, and that's why you need to colonize the planet. And
I'm not arguing against that. That's fair.
I agree with that.
There's something I wanted to touch on just quickly as well. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but who saw it in 4D? Did you all see it in 4D?
We did.
Okay, so everybody can relate, so basically in this film, James Cameron, he's using higher frame rate. I can't remember exactly how many, like what it is.
Oh yeah, number. It was really weird at times. Yeah, it goes up to like 120 or 90 or something weird.
Yeah, and it really kind of took me out of the movie because like I think it's more just during the action scenes. Like when it's just kind of normal talking, then they're not really doing anything, any like action. It felt the frame rate felt normal, but then it would just change. Like whenever there's an action scene, it's like a cute in a video game where you kind of know there's something coming because I don't know, something changes. But with this one, it just made me kind of nauseous because the movements were like too smooth and too. I think the explanation he gave is that obviously with this 3D technology, it's something to do with like the frames. In terms of the shutter rate, it basically makes it blurrier and it's hard to kind of see things in 3D. That's why they increased the frame rate. Yeah. But anyway, but what it does is basically it makes the movements too smooth and too unnatural. Like for example, if you were like to pick up like a cup, when you pick it up, you make like a fast and then slow movement. Like you move your hand to grab it. Then you bring it to your mouth to drink the drink here. But when you speed it, you can like tell when something's been sped up because the movement is just too smooth. Like there's no kind of speed difference. And that's how it felt watching this certain action scenes. So it kind of just was really distracting. I don't know if any of you picked up on that, but I was just like...
Yeah, no, I definitely felt a bit weird about those. I didn't know about the explanation, so now it makes more sense. Because I was like, why would you make a decision like that? Because it was weird at times, having it all smooth and stuff. But I guess your explanation does make sense for it.
Yeah, I never noticed anything like that.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, wow, I'm surprised.
I think it might have been an IMAX thing then, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
because I saw it at the BFI, so you saw it there as well. So maybe because I don't think you guys saw it.
I just saw it in a normal 3D screen.
Normal 3D screen, yeah. So maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, I on a whole, I think I enjoyed the movie. I don't know if you.
It was very impressive. The visuals were very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah. I think they've done really well with Claire. The underwater scenes were as well. I know the underwater scene of them swimming a bit long, but I actually thought it was quite beautiful the way it was.
Oh, it was done very well.
That was pretty cool.
And it just
the best CGI I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels so realistic.
Like you can actually see the jump from the first movie, like in terms of effects and how real it all looks. And I think one of the things I noticed as well is that when you've got like special effects and CGI in movies, sometimes it could make the CGI and special effect elements look distinct and separate from the rest of the set. But everything kind of meshed together quite well in this film. I didn't feel like I was distracted by, the back not fitting with the characters or the characters looking like they're not really in the environment, all those kind of things. It all looked like it meshed together smoothly quite well. I thought it was fantastic. Like, because usually it's like on the extreme sense, what happened with Black Adam, it took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
But in Avatar, everything just looked like it was really
they looked like they were actually there. It did. That was what was the main impressive point. It didn't look like they were out of place because nearly most CGI, when you see it, you're like, well, he doesn't look like he's there. Yeah. Like he looks like he's in Greece. Like whereas this one, even when the Nataria on the boat, they look like they're there. It looks quite realistic. So
even when you have the human characters interact
right next to them
with the Nataris, it all looks like it matches together, which I thought that is fantastic. The first movie didn't do that as well as this movie did. Having rewatched it, so that was fantastic. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a question about Jake Sully's character because, I think obviously the most of the character development was focused on his second son, but obviously he had his own little mini arc, obviously because he by obviously starting the movie he was fighting, he's using guerrilla tactics to fight back. Then obviously they take Spider and he runs away and hides, and then by the end of the movie he finds the courage again to say, no, we have to face them, we have to fight them. And I kind of feel like this is a very contrived way to get him to go on that arc, because I think he's smart enough to realize that
he would have had to do it anyway.
They're not going to stop. Running away. All I'm doing is delaying this. But I guess they needed to have him go on some sort of journey. It was this movie. The characters, and this is what I mean when I say in this 3-hour movie, I don't think most of the characters were fleshed out. I think the majority of the time it was spent on the son. I think he was fleshed out quite a bit. I think everyone else is kind of a plot device for his development, in a sense. The big brother, his mum didn't really get much development. She just had that emotional scene when her son died. But apart from that, she wasn't really much in the movie. The little sister is just there to be cute, and adopted sister is there to be the avatar and control shit and have an ex machina moment when the plot requires it. And apart from that, and even like some of the sea people as well, the sea chief, I don't think he was developed that much. The wife got a bit more development because they spoke about her relationship with the whale things and all of that.
When she came on screen, the sea chief's wife, that was funny, bruv. It was like he's not the one I'm worried about, bruv. And then she walked out, it's like, I'm worried about her, bruv. And it's just like,
she was good.
Got down.
Which is the angry wife trope sort of thing, you're like happy lives sort of trope.
That was like a funny moment on screen.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying when I was saying that in this 3-hour movie, I don't think most of the characters were developed. I think most of it was focused around the son, and I think everyone else was a supplement for that development. I don't think any of the other characters were really developed.
Well, relative. I suppose relative to other movies that have like a large cast, I thought they were fleshed out a lot more than I expected them to be. To the point where obviously you don't care about them completely, but you care about them enough to notice them throughout the film. And obviously they do actually have quite a lot of equal screen time as well. It's not like all of the screen time is taken up by the son. You actually do see the brother, the sister, the adopter. You actually do see a lot of them on screen in the same scenes a lot of the time. So they did get a lot of the same screen time. So I think they felt fleshed out, except for Spider.
Yeah, but they were on the screen, but their purpose was to develop the second son's character. He was the main focus around it. My point is that if this was a 2-hour movie or an hour and a half movie, I'm like, fair enough, you ain't got time to flesh out all of these characters. But if your movie's 3 hours, 12 minutes, and I'm only really know one of these characters really that well, and the rest are supplementing, I think, me personally, I think that the balance in terms of development means that I didn't really care when the older brother died, because I actually called it. I was like, he's gonna die. He has to die for the little brother to own his mistakes and really understand the consequence of it. And again, it would his death served as a motivation point for the second son. So that's what I meant. Why I didn't think there was a lot of character development, because I think it all focused around one character.
Nice. This is it. Exactly. Cool. So I mean, were there anything other like points or like story threads that you remember that kind of came to mind?
I think we covered everything, do we?
Yeah, I'd say the voice acting I thought was all great. I thought Zoe Saldana, done a great job with her limited screen time. And I think all the kids actually. I thought I liked all of the voice acting of the kids as well. I thought they did a decent job.
They were convincing. They got across the passion and the emotion of the teams well.
Because you got to be aware that it's also like motion capture and stuff, which is a whole different ball game kind of thing. So to do all that quite convincingly was good job to them.
One scene which did stick out to me, which I'm not sure if it's just one of those scenes where you're not supposed to read into too much, or if you are, or if it's symbolic of anything. But it's the scene where Kiri connects up to the underwater tree thing. She connects to the planet,
and she likes her eyes go back.
And she sees her biological mother, and at some point near the end of the scene, the mother kind of gets like snatched back, like out of her memory. I'm not sure. Like, did that like I don't know? Did that like seem a bit weird to you guys? That fact she was like just like snatched back, like something is stopping her from interacting with her daughter.
Yeah, I feel like
I kind of got that impression. Yeah, I kind of got that impression.
Yeah, I think it's foreshadowing. I think it's foreshadowing for something that's gonna like happen later down the line. If these films continue, but they're definitely like trying to set up some kind of thing that's yet to come. Only issue with that, like her character in general, like whenever I never bought that she was a kid, because she just looks too much like Sigourney Weaver, who's an old woman. Like even sorry, not to sound rude, but even though they like kind of de-aged her, she still looks like Sigourney Weaver. And I was just like, this is just like some weird aunt that they're just kind of.
She done her voice as well, innit?
She did
her voice so good. She did. So I think it was meant to look. Well, it was meant to look like a younger version of her avatar. The only other thing which I picked up on, which wasn't an amazing
big thing. But I did notice that because I watched the first movie the day before. They used the same music themes and riffs in the first movie. This film as well. So that I thought, even though it's like 10 years apart, obviously if you haven't watched the first one in 10 years, you won't remember. But if you do watch them in succession, the first one and then watch the other one, you will see that the actual music kind of leads on from the first movie. The same kind of style, same themes and same riffs actually follow through, which I thought was pretty cool to make it seem like an actual direct sequel rather than something in the distant future on its own. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
they kept that. They'll probably keep it throughout the other movies as well, just to keep that feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we get into the ratings, are you guys, after this movie, are you more looking forward to the next one, or has this curbed your enthusiasm toward the next one?
I feel like I feel like this one really leaves you hanging in a good way. Like it sets up a lot of things to come whilst, you know, telling this melodramatic story. So yeah, I mean, I'm enticed. I'd say I'm definitely looking forward to like the next chapter, see where it goes.
Visually, the movie ends the same way as the first one did, with kind of his eyes opening. Same kind of ending.
Oh, yeah.
The first movie, I think it was always the intention to make more, but the first movie, when you think about it, could actually be its own standalone piece. But this one actually starts to drive the story. You can see that it's actually leading up to something, whereas with the first one, you could just have it on its own, and that would have been that. So yeah, I am enticed. I am looking forward to see where they're going to go with it. I think the only thing which has me kind of holding myself back is how long it's going to take for the other one to come out.
It's coming out in 2 years.
2 years. 2 years.
They filmed them all already. They filmed 2 and 3 together, and 4 and 5 they filmed together.
All right.
I think they've got like half or 4. I think.
So I heard that. I heard part of the reason why this film took so long, because obviously the first Avatar came out 2009. And you know, what's that, like 12 or 13 years? And apparently I heard one of the reasons why it took so long for this film to come out is because they were basically filming these characters grow up, especially Spider. So you'll see him basically grow up as the films go on, because they've already filmed all of these movies. They've been filmed already. They're basically in the post.
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that, because I haven't Googled Spider's actor or anything. I don't know how old he is.
Oh yeah, he's a man. He's a man.
Oh, is he?
You actually Google him. He's not like a man, but he's not like you Google him now. He's not what he looks like in this movie.
Yeah. I get you.
So he's grown. He's basically growing up over the course of these movies. He's actually growing up and growing into a man.
That's actually pretty awesome. Okay. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't get your answer. Are you more looking forward to the third one now?
I mean, it depends on how long it's going to be.
It's going to be 3 hours again.
It's going to be 3 hours. Like, there's no getting around it.
Then now.
Yeah.
Help me out, mate. I watch it on TV. It's fine.
We'll tie him off on the next review, I guess.
I mean, I'm more interested in it than I was before, because before this movie, as well documented, I'm not the biggest fan of this. But this was better. My expectations were very low, to be fair, but this has exceeded my expectations of what I expected. And my worry is, and this is because if they probably didn't tell me that there were going to be 5, and now Subi's telling me there's going to be 7, that is like, I was like, how are you even stressed to this too much that long?
Yeah,
it's too much commitment.
It's too much.
Like, I can maybe one more. Where are we going here, bro? We can't have this, because I've already read up that it's going to be the same antagonist. Like Stephen Lang is meant to be in the next 4 movies apparently. I'm like, how are we stringing this on this long? We can't have the same antagonist.
He's got. They've got his memories backed up in it, so they can make as much of them as they want.
Just an army of Stephen Lang. That'll be sick, man.
They might make an army of him, bro. For we know, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like one let's get 100.
If I can say something real quick, is that I think we can have some hope at least that because it's different from like with stuff like Fast and Furious, they just keep adding one on. There's no roadmap to anything. Whereas this one, they're actually planning where they want to take it. So I think that at least has some hope on that it might be consistently okay. So I'm hoping that helps.
Yes, that is true. It is planned. Yeah.
Do you think the next 4, 5, 6 movies are all going to be about family as well?
Yeah, probably.
Well, to an extent, it's a family movie.
It's literally a family movie. The thing is,
was spending time with Vin Diesel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I heard Vin Diesel's in the franchise as well. Like,
you know what's funny? When you Google Avatar, for some reason Vin Diesel doesn't actually come up. I don't know why. He just comes up in the Google search.
I think he's just trying to get in every major franchise. So he's trying to.
He needs to work really. He's only got Fast and Furious and like
Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Oh
yeah. Which he's hardly in, to be fair. I mean, he says 3 words.
That's the easiest paycheck, man. I don't care what you say. That's the easy.
I know. It's a waste of money. Like, I feel like, let's be honest. Like, did anyone know Vin Diesel was in Guardians of the Galaxy when they watched it? Because I only found out like after. Because when I saw the credit, I was like, Vin Diesel's in this. Where was he? I was like, he was Groot. I was like, what a waste of money. You could have had any Tom, Dick, and Harry to do that job for $50, bro. To be in a Marvel movie and say, I am Groot. It's not like it took some sort of vast knowledge of acting. Like, you needed to be a Shakespearean level of acting to get the true emotions of a fucking tree. Like,
that's why they hired Vin Diesel then, right?
You know what the funny thing is?
Yeah. $20 million to say 3 words. It's like,
the funny thing as well.
Stick it into your CGI department.
To be fair on Vin Diesel, I heard that he.
Lots of vocal tonal variations.
This is it, man.
Yeah, but he did say it a lot of times differently. But to be fair on him, I heard that he did all the dubs for all the different countries as well. Yeah. So I guess that's something.
That's good of him. I mean, he's getting paid millions of dollars. At least he can just say 3 words with multiple different dubs. Like, this is kind man. Should we wrap this up and go into ratings?
One thing before we go into that, Ed says, like, this is a real quick question. Because before you were kind of in 2 minds about seeing this in 3D. Would you say, having watched it in 3D, you're glad that you made that decision, or would you say?
Yeah, I think the movie definitely held up.
I didn't know there was 2D showings. I think you have to.
I'm sure they were. There had to be.
I think there were 2D showings, but I think watching it in 3D was definitely the best choice. I think it would have made. I definitely wouldn't have got the full experience watching it in 2D.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. If you haven't seen 3D, you haven't watched Avatar properly. That's what I'm saying.
I'm kind of sorry for this because I know I would have fallen asleep otherwise.
I was thinking to myself, I'm glad I didn't watch it in 4DX because it wasn't about getting sprinkled during those water scenes.
To be fair, I think they didn't actually spray any water.
You can turn it off.
Wow. We thought we were going to get drenched, but I think
did you watch it
it was a water movie.
Did you watch it in cinema? Because there's a button that you have to press if you want the water pressure.
It was on.
I was on. I guess they just turned off.
Yeah, because it's a water movie, the amount of water they'd have to spray, I think they probably thought.
You're basically just
let's save this.
You're basically just having a shower. Like, you could just it's a free shower basically.
It's just like, at one point, because they spend most of their movie in the water in this movie. So they're just literally, even if it's just a little spray, after about 5 million sprays, you're going to be soaked.
It's true.
Cool. All right, you ready to go into final thoughts? Who's going to kick it off then?
We should start high. Go on, Ruben.
I'll kick off. Wow, it's not high, bro. I can see where you're going with this. Like, cool. After I first saw the film, I was fully just like on a 10 out of 10, just like as a rating. I did have my issues with the film. Like I said, my main issues with the film were Spider's character not being fleshed out with his clone of a dad. I thought that was just a missed opportunity to make you care about their relationship. And it was just, again, it just made it seem really weird, the fact that he decided to save the Colonel at the end as well. It's like, why is he caring about the person who has tried to kill his kind of real adopted family? So I just thought it was weird. They didn't flesh his character out enough. Again, a big part of the film was about being an outcast. His character was primed for being an outcast because he was the only really human living amongst all the blue people. So I just thought it was wasted opportunity. And the other thing I had an issue with, which we discussed at great length, was the fact that they decided to waste all these resources chasing down Jake Sully around the planet and completely forget about the reason they went there for in the first place. That was just, again, a bit weird and plot divisive. And yeah, it didn't take me out of the film, but it would kind of noticeable, like, why are they still chasing this guy when he's run off and tried to disappear? They're creating their own problems. So yeah, I think of those two things, I would bring my score down to probably, I'll give it a 9. I'm not gonna go 8.5. I'll give it a 4. The characters, I think for me anyway, were really well fleshed out, given how many of them they were. I cared about all the characters. The story was really emotionally driven. I felt like it wasn't like those movies where you kind of have these like key scenes where someone died, or someone did die, but you know, someone dies, something blows up, and you really feel like, man, that really hurt. For me, it was like just a lot of flurries and bombardments of emotionally key, relatable scenes, which didn't get me teary, but it got me emotionally involved in the film and in the characters. So yeah, really good film. Wouldn't change too much. Strong 9 out of 10. Definitely a must-see from me. And I actually think I would watch it again, which I don't usually say that I would, but I actually think I would watch it again. So yeah, that's where I stand.
I can go next real quick. So, I mean, when I left the film, so I probably didn't enjoy it as much as Ruben seems to, because I never thought it would be a 10 out of 10. But because it was glaringly obvious the flaws that the movies had with the storyline, especially, and all the plot points that you guys did mention. I did pick up on, well, some of those. But as a fan of Avatar and Pandora and just the visual, I wouldn't say, actually, yeah, I say visually, yeah. Visually, it's a masterpiece that Cameron's created and his team. And what an experience it is to always watch these things in 3D. And I just love the creativity behind creating such a world, creating all the species, the way they interact with each other, the way the Na'vi can interact with them, and the way they created everything. Like, I think the fact that the whole planet is like a brain, isn't it? Because all the memories kind of intertwine with each other. I love stuff like that. So I appreciate visually, and the world building behind it is always great to see. But yeah, there was plenty of flaws with the story and stuff that I would have liked to see more fleshed out, or certain things better established. But as we pointed out during the review, there are probably little bits and pieces, chess pieces, as Pete said, that will lead on to what's coming. So I'm hoping it leads to somewhere good. So I think with all that considered, I think my final rating would be an 8 out of 10.
Hey, let's see if we can guess and try and get this. Fluid downward slope.
All right, Pete, I'm gonna try and keep it brief. So I'd say like I'm more or less like an Avatar fan. Like, I did really enjoy the first one, and I've seen it multiple times. So I would say, like, knowing everything going in, it still managed to I'd say it matched my expectations. I don't know if it really surpassed them. In terms of like the visuals, like, it was gorgeous, like amazing, but I can't really give it points for something where I kind of expected it to be. Like, it didn't go above and beyond my expectations, which were already high. But I'd say that's still an accolade, because the fact that I even like managed to match my high expectations is a good thing. Where it kind of lets itself down is the story. I think the pacing could have been better with the whole length of the movie, especially the subplot. It just kind of really dragged. It kind of dragged, and I feel like, with a bit of editing, could have been a bit more smoother. But regardless, it was still an easy watch, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it for the most part. Like, it kept me kind of wanting to see what happens. Like, even though it does take time to world build, which it is one of the strengths, including the action, the world building and the action and the character development with certain characters. I feel like it moved at a decent pace, and I was never really that bored, even though certain bits were more better than others. I'm excited to see the future of this franchise. See where it goes. It looks like it's basically setting up some kind of like epic saga, sort of story that is going to be sort of told over a sequence of movies, like an episodic style sequence of movies. So I always like film franchises that plan ahead and have a roadmap, as Subi said, because it just like kind of makes you really want to root for these characters and see where things go. That's pretty much. I mean, aside from that, obviously the high frame rate, which again, I'm sure there's versions of this movie which don't have that. So I think I can't really give it. This is not my final rating. This is just kind of like having seen it in the IMAX. Maybe if I watch it again in with a normal sort of frame rate, then I'll probably have a higher rating. But all things considered, I think I will give it a solid 8. So I'll match you because again, I was thoroughly entertained and I felt like, yeah, I was satisfied. I was satiated. You know, I got what I wanted out of this movie, and yeah, definitely would recommend to other people seeing it. It's a great family fun. It's a great fun family movie with kind of ups and downs, and yeah, really. I think you'd have to be a robot to say that you saw this movie and felt absolutely nothing. Even if you kind of didn't really get into the story, you kind of see James Cameron is a genius when it comes to making emotional stories, even though they're very simple and formulaic and contrived to say what you will, but it works. The formula works. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I'll go next. I'll start by saying, for me, the first Avatar was sci-fi Pocahontas. It looks amazing, and I know some young designers will say that the unis make them watch it because you get to see all the work that's put into it. So these movies that James Cameron's making are for the creatives. You see it, you think, how's he done this? Look at all the technology that's gone into this. It looks amazing. Again, with Avatar, what's the Way in Water? It looks amazing. Beautiful scenes. The way they've done all the underwater scenes, it looks amazing. I was never going to fault that. My issue with this movie is a lot of the plots are just, they don't match up. There are, why do they follow across water? Why? It really bugs me that final fight scene could have been amazing if they included all the water characters, but nah, they showed up for 2 minutes and were like, yeah, peace out, I'm out. And I was just like, well, you could have had an epic battle with all the soldiers and that, and I get it, budget, but you've got loads of money, you're making 16 movies, you could have done something. Character-wise, that's helping. Character-wise, character-wise, yeah, like Lawrence said, the only character I was really built on was the second son, and we all saw where the older son was going. He wasn't going to make it. I'm kind of wondering, they had 5 movies planned. Are we going to see a child drop off a movie? It would be an interesting take. I doubt it, but for me, my rating, I'd have to give it 8. I was going to drop it a couple marks, but I have to give it what it gets. It is a great movie. Lots of people enjoy it. I know why these movies make money, because, like I said, the creators, they will keep going to see it to look at all the technology, so it's going to make mills. I can't give it any higher than 8 because of all the plot holes it's got, but I'd have to say it is a succulent and juicy movie. I'd recommend it to other people.
Cool. Yeah, a bit surprised there, aren't you, boys? Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Are you going to be the odd one out, though? Are you going to be the odd one out?
I said downward slope, Cam, I didn't say balance out, bro.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll drop and stop then. Everything you guys said, it's fairly rare. I landed on. Visually, I thought it was great. The first movie I thought was a lot more style than substance. I thought this one did have quite a bit more substance than the first movie, and also a lot more style as well in terms of the visuals. I thought the visuals were amazing. Obviously, there's quite a few contrivances within the plot, and I don't think enough of the characters were developed considering the length of the movie. I think they spent probably a bit too much time building the world and not the characters within it. And obviously, maybe they're relying on the other movies to do that, but I'm not reviewing this movie over its arc because I've not seen the other movies yet. I'm reviewing this movie, and this movie as standalone, I think, yeah, apart from the second son, I don't think most of the characters got any sort of near development. So then when some of the actions they take in the movie sort of, I don't think are earned. And I think they could have done more with the character development in the time they had in the movie if they had taken away some of those world-building elements that I know you guys liked, but it did seem like a bit like it was kind of waving its stick around in terms of like showing how brilliant their visuals are, and so especially the underwater scenes and stuff like that, they were really showing off how good their tech is, which is fair enough. You've done a great job with it. I just don't think it was all necessary. You could have spent that time building up some of the other characters, because there were a lot of characters in here, and it would have been nice to get to know a bit more of the characters outside of their relationship with the second son, because it did all seem to center around him. But overall, though, I did think that this was a good movie. I mean, I'm tempering that with I have had no expectations for the movie. I thought I was going to hate it, and actually, I did actually enjoy the movie. Even though it was a bit long in the middle, and I did check my watch a few times, I thought overall, I think this is a very good movie. So I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well. That was in my head when I left the theater. So yeah, I was surprised. I mean,
yeah, you did.
You have been surprised waiting.
I think it's an 8 out of 10.
I expected you to give it a 6.5, bro. You know what I mean?
A good movie gets a good rating, mate.
Yeah,
it is a good movie. It's a good movie, but it's a good movie.
I think we can all agree this is like one of those rare movies where the sequel actually surpasses the original, right? The first movie.
Oh, by leaps and bounds. Yeah. I think just like what you said, you had an issue with Jake Sully in the first movie. He seemed a bit flat. I totally agree. The his character seemed really two-dimensional. In this movie, he went 3D in the film.
I mean, I think to be fair, I think a big reason for that is because he's not in this movie as much. Like the first movie, he was in the movie a lot more.
Yeah,
whereas in this movie, he had a lot else to do.
In the first movie, I never really had a takeaway from his character. He was just this guy who stumbled into this new world, and the whole movie was just him going like, "Wow, like I can walk again. This is great." Like that was him throughout the film. You didn't really connect with the character, but in this one, maybe it's because I'm kids, I don't know, but I did connect with his character repetitively driving down on family. Father protects his children. That was basically.
I'm down in Diesel.
That was him, yeah. but that was him throughout the whole film, wasn't it? So I feel like even though he was kind of had that only one drop point, it did make his character feel a lot more real and relatable.
Yeah,
I think that this movie is a lot better, mainly because the story is original. The first movie was sci-fi Pocahontas.
Yeah,
Atlantis to me, hands down.
This movie had its own story. It was different. You can't really say there's too many movies out there that are as similar to this one.
And actually, Atlantis. Wait, I can't even remember, but Atlantis actually had the same thing with the villain. And obviously the villain recruiting this guy who then figures out, the guy's a villain. I need to turn on him. So yeah, the first movie definitely was story. So
yeah. I feel like this is what reality would be if Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg teamed up, because you basically have like SpaceX and then you got Metaverse where basically people are jumping into avatars.
That's so true. That's
so true. Man, so who knows? This could be the future anyway.
So there you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Really hope you enjoyed the discussion. I know I did. Some very interesting points raised, and I think we all, as you can see, more or less unanimous. We all enjoyed the film. I'll definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen the first one, I'll definitely recommend starting there just for a bit of context on what's going on in the film. And I think I speak for most of us when I say we're really looking forward to see exactly where the story takes us. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed our review and want to support us in what we do. We will be back with another review shortly. And yeah, until then, all the best, take care, and Happy New Year.